as you thought, an Osho podcast will start in Area 51. You guessed it right. Just as you thought.
Keep rolling.
Just as you thought, only an extraterrestrial being could have read 1.5 lakh books, built his own country, and called himself a god. But we'll come back to that later, as if time exists. As you can see, we are in the most happening place, surrounded by green buildings, called trees to the mankind. In the middle of everywhere, or nowhere, we are yet to figure that out. This is Osho Wellness Center. Osho himself built in just one night. Or maybe we are yet to know that. This building is so interesting. This building is so impressive that it has to be accompanied by its own background music. Why do we still talk about Osho? Why not Fred again? I mean, he's young, he's cute, he's famous, he's still alive. Okay, I'll text you once I'm back.
Bolo, I'm doing a podcast.
I'm doing a podcast.
Stones wala.
This is Osho's consciousness, recollected in concrete and stones. A beautiful metaphor for beautiful, to signify its beauty, just as metaphors do.
आ जाओ.
I've been studying about Osho ever since I was asked to do this podcast.
Jump.
To find out about Osho's mysterious journey between his birth and his death. So come with me on this podcast as I'll say something in one location and appear like I was saying in another. Hi, I'm your host Anam Hussain. Welcome to the Resolute podcast. Today we are sitting in the beautiful location located in Jia, and if you don't know this place, this is Osho Himalayas. And today we have with us the visionary of this place, Ma'am Sindhu, who will take us through the journey, will talk about the vision of this place, how it came to her, how she has built this place over time, and what all happens here in the retreat. So over to her. Hi, ma'am.
Hi Anam, how are you?
I'm good. How are you? Good. So tell us more about the vision of this place.
Yeah, Osho Himalayas is a dream that I saw about 10 years ago. In fact, the dream just came to me, the vision just came to me. I was facilitating a meditative process which is called Osho Mystic Rose in Pune. Sitting in this special room called Osho Chuangtazu, also was previously called as Samadhi. And with my eyes open, the process was going on, and I suddenly saw a huge Shiva statue actually. And I was not thinking, I was thoughtless at that moment. And then I saw these mountains. I saw the center mountain. Right now there are clouds, the center mountain is hidden with snow, and there are the two mountains next to it. They came into my vision, and it felt like, as a kid I would draw this scenery and the three mountains.
Yeah.
So it exactly felt like that drawing. And then the scene of the valley came up, and I'm standing in this valley, and I'm just there, and there are a few structures which you can see right now as Osho Himalayas. And I was wondering, like, what am I seeing? And internally the question came up, and then it said, oh, it's going to be a wellness resort, a meditation resort. When I'll be in my 50s, I will be living there. And an Osho meditation resort, yes. And then the question was, where is this place that I'm seeing? And it said it would be in the Himalayas. So that's why I gave the name Himalayas. And then how would it happen? It would happen. And at that time, I was not even living in India. I was visiting India. And we were living in London. My husband and partner and co-creator of this place, Rajiv, that's Coco. He was born here.
Coco.
And so we didn't even know that we come back to India, though my heart was in India. I always wanted to come back from the UK to India. And the scene went away. And I actually didn't trust it so much. I thought, I don't know, okay, something came and left me. And then a couple of years later, we came back to India. He left his job, and we settled down. We had an apartment in Pune and in Mumbai. So yeah, I was in this spiritual journey already, sharing Osho meditations, and I was working for the Osho International Pune.
All right.
And so life was going on. I was traveling, and in one of my travels to Rishikesh, to a meditation camp there, I went deeper into the Himalayas, and the feeling that I had in my heart was like there was a calling, there was a pulling that I don't want to come back. I'm done with city life, and I would like to live in nature. So so initially I started the search in around Rishikesh. And then my husband Rajiv, he has grown up in Himachal. So he said, let's go to Himachal. So on my second visit to Himachal, the first visit I traveled across the state looking for that place. I mean, I was not consciously looking for what I had seen. I had forgotten about it actually. But looking for a place in nature. The first visit we did see some places, and we said, okay, let's come back and stay here for a longer time and feel how it is. And on my second visit in the May of 2019, actually, I just accidentally came, I had crossed this main highway a few times, but never knowing that there's a valley deep here. And somebody said, why don't you come and have a look here? And as I walked down the road and as I came here, I just sat on that, on this slope. It was morning time, so we were a little bit hiking around, and once I saw this valley, it was like the deja vu, the whole scene came. And even before, a few kilometers away is Ma Chamunda Devi temple. I'm not very religious, I'm spiritual, but I am like, the vibes, my heart, my heart was already, there was such good positive feeling happening, those sensations in my body. And then when I came here, for few hours, we were sitting. It was me, my husband, and one of my friends, my girlfriends. We were 3 of us on that trip, and I sat the whole morning till afternoon. And I was just feeling, for me, this is like a perfect, the scene I remembered for me, looking at these mountains, their presence, and this valley, the valley really took me away. I felt a perfect combination of the yin and the yang, the mountains representing the masculine, the groundedness, this feeling of sthirta, and the valley of this vastness, this feminine feeling, holding everything inside. And it just felt just my being, this is what it is. It just felt right to be here. And
like you say, you're not very religious, but you're spiritual. Like, how is that different?
Like I'm not following, in a way, I'm born Hindu, but I'm not following any religion. For me, the essence of all the religions for me is same, I'm not worshipping any god, but it is the godliness.
Yes,
as Osho talks about. And this is what for me is spiritual, is to be human, to be loving, to be kind.
So how did you find Osho? Like, what was your personal journey towards him?
For me, as a kid, there was always a longing which I'd never understood. There was this feeling inside that there's something more, more of my potential. There's something more that I've come to be in this world, to be in this body, to be in this life. You study, you get married, I'd followed the tradition, but my inner calling was, there was no fulfillment happening. With everything very good on the outside, I didn't have much difficult life, I would say. But I didn't know why I'm not so happy inside. What is it that I'm looking for? And I would say, like, okay, I got married and children. So motherhood was my first spiritual experience in that sense, which I could say this longing for love was there. To be loved and to share love, to be loved.
Is that unconditional love?
Yes, and that I didn't know how. So when I became a mother and first time I know holding the child and those feelings inside, that was my glimpse of the unconditional love. And then soon after, I came across a few books and I did Reiki. It was back in 95. I was looking that there's something more. First it was the mind-body connection actually. That what is it? Why are we falling sick? Some people are falling sick more. What is it? It's just the body. It didn't feel it's just the body. It is something more of the mind. My husband had some nasal polyps, so he got a surgery done. Within 1 year, the polyps came back. We were living in Mumbai, a big city, and I didn't know what's there, The medical thing couldn't stop it coming back. What are we missing? So there is something beyond the body, beyond the mind. So that was my interest initially. And then I came into yoga and Reiki. So my spiritual journey started with that. And of course, Osho was, like, my husband's parents were reading Osho and they were Osho followers, but I wanted my own search. So it was not that I saw Osho's picture in books and I was into it. It didn't happen. So I was looking in my own way, and these things first attracted me, as I said, yoga and Reiki. And then I was into that for a few years, maybe 3 years or something, and I was attending some yoga retreats in Maharashtra somewhere, and part of a yoga group. And then Osho came in.
So basically like a conscious choice for you.
It was a happening. So what happened, I was gifted a book by my father-in-law actually of Osho, and I attended a Osho meditation retreat. Not an Osho, a yoga meditation retreat. And when I read that book, what was my experience of that meditation retreat and what Osho was saying, it was
aligned.
like he was talking to me. It was aligned, it just came together, and I thought, this man knows. Okay, this is my truth. Okay, this is what he's saying. This is my truth. This is my experience. So he's talking about me. So that's when I really connected with him, and then it just felt that Osho said, I will haunt you, you know. The master comes to you, he says. He comes to the disciple. And that is what happened for me. He came. And yeah, and now you can see, like, you know, my life is Osho. My life is sharing Osho's vision, sharing his meditations, living his vision. Yeah, I can say I'm a true sannyasin, Osho sannyasin, and till my last breath, I would like to be doing this if nature allows me.
So tell us more about the kind of people who attend this. You must have obviously come across such people who are like either very traumatized or they've seen so much in life. Like, if there was like a piece of advice that you would want to share with the generation, because as you see, like, a lot of mental health issues are picking up nowadays. A lot of people are realizing they're ready to put in the work to develop, you know, inner sense, or to actually work on their trauma and heal. How would you, for someone who cannot visit retreats, right, what would you give them as a piece of advice?
See, this place is also for healthy people. I mean, mentally healthy and physically healthy, but we all have a longing, a search for a deeper meaning of life. So, you know, Osho meditations are for them as well. And for people, of course, who are having challenges with mental health or physical health, meditation is the medicine. As medicine and meditation, yeah, they come from the same word, medi. Medi is the common root, which means to heal. Yeah. So meditation is a kind of medicine. It's the medicine of the inner, of the mind. How we wash and take bath every day and clean our body, we need to clean our mind also.
Yes.
And the emotions that we are holding up. Yeah, inside, like emotion, energy in motion.
Yeah.
And that energy, if it's not allowed to express, it finds its roots in the body-mind system. It becomes knots and later forms diseases. So they need to be cleaned. And Osho was a genius to give Osho active meditations, which are very much for the modern man, for this contemporary man. You know, this Gen Z and the millennial generation that you guys, they're quite lost. I see them. They're confused, they're lost. They're neither in the old rut of tradition, and they are looking for something more.
Yeah,
so I
something
think
to ground
Osho
them.
meditations are so much valid now than they were ever before for this generation, to find those roots, to find that connection to existence, to life, what it is, what is life about, So they are very valid. So I always recommend Osho active meditations. They happen here regularly. Every day we have 5 daily meditations that happen here. And then we have these courses which are subject based, like this weekend, the coming one, we have an emotional wellness retreat. So where we'll deeply work on emotions. You know, what you're repressing, what needs to heal, what are you carrying from the past. So there would be meditations and healing sessions based on that. And the next weekend we have Osho meditation training, which means if you are into yoga and already practicing these things. And if you want to share Osho meditations, first have an in-depth experience of them and then share it, so you can come and do a training. So we have different kinds of retreats. We have a retreat on Vigyan Bhairav Tantra, the Shiv Sutras, the 112 meditation techniques Shiva gave. So, at least 3 retreats in a month happen here, sometimes 4, on different subjects. Osho meditative therapies, the Mystic Rose, where I saw the vision. It's a 21-day process where just by laughter and tears, you clean the scars of the past, the wounds of the past. You clean your energy, you are new. And then you can sit in silence. So, I would just say, come experience. I can only talk about it,
Yes.
but unless unless you taste it, you don't know what it is. So come and taste it for yourself. Yeah.
Just yesterday you wrapped up a 7-day workshop.
Yeah.
Right? How was that for you?
Yeah, I had invited one of my colleagues from Pune, Richa. She did a self-hypnosis for meditation course here.
Oh, wow.
And you could have seen this morning, people are in gratitude, they say they are the best 7 days of my life. And everybody say we had never laughed or cried, in our whole life. We are like, you are sitting on your energy. Most of us, we sit on our energy. And, the normal day-to-day life doesn't give us that space to live. Yesterday night, it was raining here a lot. And everybody was dancing in the rain. We had this rain dance.
Oh, wow.
Like kids jumping, dancing, celebrating. And it's so beautiful and joyful to watch this. How people transform. 3 days, they change. 7 days, they change even more.
You must feel good, after looking at how you are just one way of how you are put on this earth to sort of guide some people.
I don't know, this is happening. Maybe I was meant to do this, Anna. And I really feel that I'm living. Man is always evolving. I'm on the way. I'm work in progress myself, but there is a joy and contentment. Life is juicy. Life is full on. It's like you're burning your candles from both the ends. So, and sharing is such a joy. It's the fulfillment that you don't get from anything else. So that's what I'm living right now.
So coming back to Osho, tell us more about him, because he was a very eccentric, a very, influential person. How would you when you started discovering Osho, how did you find the books that were written about him or the ones that he wrote? How
he
would
always spoke. He never wrote, but his speech got transcribed into books. So my first book that I said was The Path of Meditation, actually, and which were the talks given in some Osho camp he took in Mount Abu in maybe early 70s or late 60s.
My first was Hinsing in the Book of Nothing.
Yeah, wow. Yeah. So all books are amazing, actually. He is.
Do you have any favorites?
As I said, this was my first book, and then I am this devotee, so I would pick up initially all the Sufi books. Sufi is my way, love is my way. So those were the books that I would initially pick up. I'm not that Zen kinds. I'm more like heart kinds.
You're Zen Z.
Zen Z, I don't know. I'm more like Meera and Sufism and those kind of devotional were my earlier discourses. Kabir, these people attracted me, all these mystics. So, yeah.
A lot of people are getting influenced by Instagram today because the clips of Osho's wordings are really catching up to Gen Z. How do you feel कि वो किस डायरेक्शन में लेकर के जा रहे हैं?
आई थिंक बहुत अच्छा है. हमारे पास जो लोग आते हैं यहाँ पर, most of them, 70 to 80%, they are of course, many youngsters are coming. You know, I did a Mystic Rose with a 19-year-old. I was so impressed. And many young people come in their early 20s. One last Mystic Rose was 60% of the people were in their 20s and few in the 30s. So very young crowd was coming. Very much relevant, as I said. They are confused, they're lost, they don't want to be a doctor, engineer and go down what
Yeah.
their parents wanted. They want more out of life. They are not working for security, they want to live life. So Osho can really, you know, he was 100 years ahead of
Exactly.
Like how you
What
said, his teachings are more relevant now.
What I've heard about him is that he was a charvak. Charvak are people who have charuvat, who speak good, but didn't really like them. So there is a misconception that Osho sannyasis are not materialistic. But Osho said that being poor is a crime against yourself. So having materialism and enjoying it and at the same time being away from it, how do you see the dualistic nature and how do you approach it? Because you manage such a big empire and yet you are a sannyasi. How does that happen?
So that's what he said, no, be in the world like you are a Buddha and be not of it. He said, never run away. Actually, to tell you, I came to Himalayas for peace, but how much dunyadari I've had making this and now running this, that I've never had in my life living in Mumbai or in a big city in Pune. Yeah, because that is his way of working. Yeah, and he said that don't run away from the world. That is old sannyas. His is a new sannyas, which means you live everything. You live your materialistic desires. If you're depressed, you're going to come back and live them. But nothing is किसी ने पकड़ा नहीं हुआ है. You're not a slave to anything. If you live everything consciously, yeah, he was called a sex guru, this, that. He said, go into it, don't repress. So many of those sadhus or whatever, you know, I personally know some of them. All they want is insight because they didn't live their energy, yeah, totally. So live it consciously.
Also-
And at 55, I'm going to be 55 now. In a few,
55,
that's thank you. In a few months, what I'm saying is consciously living it.
Yeah. I think conscious is
Actually,
the word.
when you
there.
turn 50 and up, you feel free from these things. They are not catching you anymore. So go and live. Bring hosh, bring awareness into it. That is what was his message. And once you live it consciously, it's not going to catch you. You're free from it. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it's the conscious word.
Yeah.
That be
Awareness.
aware of like what you desire
Yes.
and be strong enough to go get like
Go and do
to have
it totally. If you totally do anything, वो पकड़ेगी नहीं. You're free from it. Yeah, that is not gonna. If something is gonna pull you back, that means, yeah, you need to see, you need to live it more, you need to bring more hosh into it, more awareness into it, and you need to see कि क्या है वो मेरे लिए. Anything, be it your relationships, be it your desires or whatever you want to do in life. For me, life is creative. Yeah, this is the creativity, creatively expressing something through work. Yeah, and then, you know, life takes care, existence really takes care of you, money wise also. It will come. Yeah.
So, because our theme of this podcast was to inquire about Osho from a really non-believer point of perspective. So it morphs into a really fun-poking kind of a thing. Like, how did he drive his 99 Rolls Royce? It's not logically possible. It is very, a fun,
Catchy.
He was wanting to break and hammer on those old sannyas ki you renounce everything. Do you think he needed all that? He was a satisfied person. He would not even come out of his room if needed be, you know. So he wanted to shake everybody's beliefs. So that's why he was doing such things. And what I was saying, like 70-80% of people who come here, they are new. They've heard Osho on YouTube or they've read some of them, but they don't have that experience of meditation and they are longing. So this place provides that next step in their life where now they can experience it and then take this experience back into their lives, yeah? And then enrich the world. Yeah, share it with people, with your family, with your friends, with your neighbors, in your city, in your work, and then only we create a better world, a better humanity, where Osho says, you know, love, joy, peace. This is what we long for. We all want friendliness. That is what we want to be surrounded by, right? Yeah.
I think so, because from her perspective of this conversation, she wants to learn about Osho. She has her doubt cleared, right? So right now, there was a misconception that जो भी ओशो के पास जाता है वो सदैव उन्हीं का ही होके रह जाता है. ये भी कहावत की जाती थी कि he was a peaceful version of Osama bin Laden because his thoughts were very thought provoking. His voice one time it goes inside you, it just changes you. It is another big bang inside you. Because I was introduced to Osho, I did my masters in philosophy, but when I read about him, he still, he changes me completely. And I want to give this message to the Gen Z. You are Gen Z, but we want to give it to the Gen Z, right? And people like Anam. So Anam should
Like
take over
if-
the conversation
yeah.
from now. How do I become from the path of no path, like Osho says, the path of no path. साधन को साधक नहीं बनाना चाहिए. So drive this conversation towards how I can, from learning from Instagram reels to finally talking to an enlightened person like her. How does this conversation shape you? And end this conversation within 5 minutes.
So
You have to talk कि मैं कैसे अब और ज़्यादा कर सकती हूँ इसमें.
अब सिर्फ मेरा पर्सनल है क्या?
तुम बोलो ना बात करो.
स्पिरिचुअल टेररिस्ट ओशो ने बोला है, हम स्पिरिचुअल टेरर. उसामा बिन से आप कंपेयर करो नो, इट्स एन ऑपोजिट, यू नो. माय मास्टर, आई लव
Exactly.
बट he did say that, you know, I am a spiritual terrorist because he shook everybody's beliefs and people didn't like him for that, but he didn't care.
Him and Jiddu Krishnamurti used to
Yeah.
one against each other, but they were also preaching the same thing, the universe. Because rather than finding God in some temple, मक्का मदीना, झुकना सीखना चाहिए.
अपने अंदर है ना. He said हर एक के अंदर भगवान है, हर एक के अंदर खुदा है. You know that godliness is within you. So he was making us independent. और इतना dignity. Yeah, because as I said, I was in yoga before. I had another living guru before. You know, he was good as a beginner for me. But there was something missing for me there. And when I came to Osho in one of his discourses, the evening meeting that I was attending, suddenly it clicked to me. He used a word called spiritual slavery. And I thought, yes, this is what was happening to me there. The spiritual slavery, you know, Guruji, Jai Gurudev, Guruji ke liye ye karo, Guruji ke liye wo karo. And in my bhava, I was doing everything.
But
and then
not
I was
feeling
seeing
it.
Guruji's, I was seeing, and actually later after being in Osho and attending some, I went because, see, I didn't see Osho in the body. Yeah, so many people said, did you meet him and all? I said, good, I didn't see him in the body. I was not, you know. Initially I thought, and many old people said, good, you came at the right time, Sindhu. And I thought, yes, I am only connected to his meditation techniques, his methods, not his body or him as a person. Yeah, only that energy, and that is good
Teachings.
enough. Yes, his meditations. So I really got the point that this was the spiritual slavery that is happening in most of the places, and Osho has freed us from there. He says, individual, it's your own way.
Like praise your own God.
Yeah,
Like
you
God.
find your own way, you find your own truth. He is saying that, you know, don't bite my finger. I'm pointing to the moon. Yeah.
He also says कि तुम लोग बोलते हैं भगवान को ढूंढना चाहिए. ढूंढा तो उससे जाता है जो तुमसे दूर हो.
हाँ, exactly.
तुमसे दूर ही नहीं वो उसे क्या ढूंढो.
वो तुम्हारे पास ही है, तुम्हारे अंदर ही है उसका.
And I think that Osho's eyes spoke a lot, and
Sure.
I think his characteristics are reflected in you as well.
Really, I mean, he said that every sannyasin carries my fragrance, you know. He said, don't be a masiha, I don't want conversions and all that. Missionaries, no. He said, you know, each of my sannyasins, they carry my fragrance, my flavor,
of-
and we are all unique. You know, you meet another sannyasin, you may feel him different, but still you may feel Osho from it. So I take it as a compliment when you say that.
It is a compliment.
Because yeah, for me he's the master of masters, and I genuinely, my soul felt that, you know, I have arrived home. I don't need to go anywhere for spiritual shopping, don't need to do anything. This is enough for this life, and if there's another life, then we see. But for this life, this is
This is
enough.
good enough.
Yeah.
A great conversation with Ma'am Sindhu.
And I'm on, but I had a little of resistance yesterday. I was tired, whatever. You know, there's a lot happening here. It's not easy to run this place and to be with Osho. He's always keeping you on the edge, like a razor's edge, and it's.
I mean, personally, for me, at times, like, you know, you get into a conversation not knowing, like, what's going to come out of it.
Right.
But then you, like very different landscape as to, like, where, like, I connected with you. But completely different landscape, different ideologies or whatever. But, like, okay, like, you said couple of things that I can imply in my own journey, or like
Right.
what I am wanting to look forward, or what I want out of life, what is contentment for me.
Yes.
So-
That's your truth, and that's
Yeah.
your story. My story cannot be your. My chart way is my unique way.
You know what happens at times, it's just something just clicks. It's like
Yes.
you have that moment of epiphany and you're just like, oh,
Yes.
I'm connecting something. Oh,
Yes.
that makes a lot more sense. So well, that's what happened with me. It was a really great